What's happening, friends? It's Dean from Electronic Sounds. Stick around. Today, I'm really excited to share with you my most recent bank for the Electron Digitakt. This one is called Sample Chains, and I made it specifically for those of you who are looking to overcome the limitation of only being able to load 128 sounds per project. If you load all 32 of my sample chains into the Digitakt, you will start off your project with 384 sounds in the project, with still plenty of room left to load and sample your own sounds. Come on, let me show you some examples of what you can make using only the sounds from this pack. Now, this sound bank definitely was not made to be used alone, but all of the examples that you're hearing today in this video are made with only sounds from this bank only. Imagine what you could do when you start combining some of your own samples and sounds with the sounds from this bank. If you're a really serious user of the Digitakt and you're looking to up your sound game, I also have some other sound banks that are available. I have a bundle of sounds which features over 1,000 one-shot sounds, everything from drums, percussion, and chords. And I also have a freestyle mixtape sound bank, which includes a lot of new sounds and patterns for the Digitakt as well. Okay, let's get you up to speed with how to install this sound bank. It couldn't be easier because all we're dealing with here is just a folder of samples. There's no sysx files or anything complicated. All you need to do is take the sample chains folder once you've downloaded it and extract it and drag that and drop it directly into the transfer app from Electron. Now I've got my Digitakt upgraded to the most recent operating system, and I'm using the most recent updated version of the transfer app as well. All we need to do is just drag the sample chains folder over to the samples root directory on your Digitakt, and you'll go ahead and install those. show you how to use these sample chains. I've got an empty project loaded up in the Digitakt, and the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and start loading some samples. Here's the root directory of my Digitakt, so we're going to go ahead and scroll down until we get to the sample chains folder. Now you can load as many of these individual sample chains as you want. Here's one that has freaky kick drums, for example. We'll go ahead and load that one by selecting it. Then we're going to go ahead and scroll to the right here and go down to load to project so that we get that sample loaded in our project. We're going to go ahead and back out of the menu at this time. Make sure that we're selected on whatever pad we want to put that sample on. So if I want to put it on the first sample here, I'll select that pad. Now we want to make sure that the second page, the source page, is assigned, and we can go ahead now and scroll to a different sample. There's the 12 times freaky kick that we loaded up, and I can go ahead and select that. Now, if we click the source page again, we can actually get a visual representation of that sample. And if I just hold the sound down, again, there's no direct sound on this example. We're just hearing the sound coming out of my speakers at this time. But we can see that there's, 12 individual kick drums here. How we're going to be able to access the different kick drums is simply by changing the start time on the Digitakt. Any division of 10 is going to get us to the very next sample start point. We're also going to need to make sure that our end point, whoops, I'm touching the loop point there. We're going to need to make sure that our end point is also set to 9.99 because the samples take up exactly 10 spaces in the Digitakt here. They're all there's 12 samples, and the start time and the end time goes up to 120. So if we divide that by 10, we can get right in on just the little chunk of sample that's playing. I'm going to put the end time here to 9.99 so that it literally plays the entirety of the sample there. And now we're getting just that one kick drum. So if I wanted to access the next kick drum, I just change the start time to the next multiple of 10. And we see how the end point is now moving along with the start point inside of the Digitakt here. So I'm just going to scroll this to exactly 20.00, okay? And now that's the next kick drum in this chain. So if I wanted to access the third kick drum, or rather the fourth kick drum in this chain, I'm going to go to the next division of 10, 30.00. And here I'm now accessing the next kick drum. If I wanted to access that last kick drum in the pack, I'm just going to scroll the start time to exactly 110. And now I'm accessing the individual samples within this sample chain. The power of this is that we can lock the start point to the different steps, and then we can have different samples playing on different steps. For instance, if I want to use this kick on the pattern on the very first downbeat, but maybe I want to have another kick that comes in over here on this step. If I go into the recording mode, I can put the first kick in. Now I can put the second kick in. But if I hold this, now I can parameter lock that start point, right, to any of the other samples in this chain. So if I select, say, for example, 50.00, now I've selected that kick in the patch here. Not in the patch, but in the chain, rather. And when we play it, we get different sounds. And combining this, with all of the samples in the chain, especially if you're trying to make a really, large and robust set, can really help you out because you've got multiple samples in that same slot. So rather than having to load, 12 different kick drums, if you're trying to make a 12-track set, you could have just one sample with all of these individual kick drums on it. There are sample chains of, hi-hats, sample chains of chords, claps, all the kinds of sounds that you're going to need to write music in the Digitakt. I hope that explanation was easy enough to understand, but if it wasn't, I also did a live stream a few months ago on not only how I'm using the sample chains in the Digitakt, but also how I'm making them. I'm going to go ahead and put a link up here to that live stream if you want to go a little bit deeper with maybe how to make these, or if you didn't quite understand the use on how to use these. Go ahead and check out that stream. Thanks.